The crew of the Starship Enterprise are exposed to spores that create an atmosphere of absolute bliss. Their inhibitions are cast away and are replaced by feelings of peace and harmony. It's what you might call a psychedelic experience, not unlike the 1960s fad of recreational drug experimentation. This Side of Paradise, written by D.C. Fontana, has a world where emotions rule. And perhaps the crew member most affected by the spores attack is Mr. Spock. For the very first time, he will experience what it's like to be truly human. He will go where Spock has never gone before. Let's join him in This Side of Paradise. What was originally written by Jerry Soule was not what eventually ended up on the screen. In his initial script, called The Way of the Spores, the central figure who finds love with Leela was actually Mr. Sulu, not Mr. Spock. In his early drafts of the scripts, the spores were agents of intelligence. When one was a host to these spores, one received telepathic capabilities. In a rewrite, D.C. Fontana took the core of a wonderful story and enhanced it. By switching the key character from Sulu to Spock, she gave the Vulcan a chance to feel emotion, making the script even more poignant. And instead of having the spores hiding out in a cave, she sprinkled them around the entire planet, enabling them to infect anyone who walked by.
My memory was that Gene said to me, this is going to be a character who will be on board the Enterprise and quite visible, alien. He will look alien. He will understand constantly that he's from another planet. And that's why the pointed ears, among other things, were very important to Gene, because that said, this is an alien. This is not a human being.
My mother was a teacher. My father, an ambassador.
Your father was a computer, like his son. An ambassador from a planet of traitors. The Vulcan never lived who had an ounce of integrity.
The other was that this was a character of mixed parentage. An Earth mother, human, and a Vulcan father. And that there would be a battle for control of this being between his logical side and his emotional side. And he had chosen the Vulcan way, to be the Vulcan, to suppress emotion.
Mr. Spock's feelings were never expressed to me. It is said he has none to give.
I found that particularly intriguing as an actor because it gave me an immediate drama to play, a personal drama to play, and a personal dynamic to be working on all the time.
Emotions are alien to me. I'm a scientist.
Someone else might believe that, but not me.
Little by little, I began to understand it was possible to play the suppressed emotion and give the audience an occasional peek through the writing or through performance at the struggle that this character was having. And I think many people identify with this. I think it's a very human character in a way. I've said this before. He's referred to as the alien. He's referred to as the Stoic Vulcan. But he's a very human character. He's dealing with a very human problem.
I am what I am, Leela. And if there are self-made purgatories, then we all have to live in them. Mine can be no worse than someone else's.
We're all living our lives trying to find a balance between emotion and logic. We're all, at times, saying to ourselves, coming away from a situation, and I wish I'd been able to control my temper. Or I wish I had let him have it.
Maybe we weren't meant for paradise. Maybe we were meant to fight our way through, struggle, claw our way up, scratch for every inch of the way. Maybe we can't stroll to the music of the lute. We must march to the sound of drums.
D.C. Fontana wrote us some very beautiful work and did some very important rewrite on some of the scripts. And she gave us This Side of Paradise, among others, also a very important Spock script.
Mr. Spock and I have met before. It's been a long time.
I like This Side of Paradise, which is the Spock love story, specifically because it got to explore an area that I almost always write stories about, love.
Spock! Yes, what did you want?
Spock, is that you?
Yes, Captain, what did you want?
It had to do, in this case, between a man and a woman.
I love you. I can love you.
This particular story was one that I liked because it got to explore Spock's character. He had always been closed off up until that point. There was no or very little chance for release of his emotions.
I've never understood the female capacity to avoid a direct answer to any question.
And I never understood you. Until now.
Under the influence of the spores on this particular planet, he was able to express his feelings for this girl, beautifully played by Jill Ireland.
You never told me if you had another name, Mr. Spock.
You couldn't pronounce it.
It was just an opportunity to get into a character and to explore the issues of love with someone who holds back, either by nature or by training.
For the first time in my life, I was happy.
Aliens are not always the bad guys. It was a surprise to the Enterprise crew who initially thought that the spores were a hostile force to be reckoned with. Humans always attach evil intentions to the unfamiliar. The evil alien is a reoccurring motif for most post-World War II science fiction films, from The Attack of the Flying Saucers to the diabolical creatures in Alien to Independence Day. What is it we really fear? Something to think about.